r/ask Reddit. What do people take entirely too seriously? When a celebrity gives their opinion about anything. We recently learned that DJ Khaled don't eat kitten. Holy shit, raise the bridges. Shut down all sporting events and bar the door. DJ Khaled is allergic to box. Got it. Can we all move on? I think the outrage was less about the kitten eating and more about his reasoning to why he doesn't and the hypocrisy. Small inconveniences. Someone cuts you off in traffic. The store doesn't have that shirt you want in your size. The line at the bank is taking a little too long. None of these things are worth outrageous outbursts or falling to pieces over, which is something I see far too often. Edit. To all the people saying, oh, it's probably the straw that broke the camel's back, or maybe something is going on in their life that's really hard for them. Part of being an adult is being able to control your emotions and act civil in public, even when life isn't perfect for you that day. Verbal abuse to service workers or physical fights in traffic are not acceptable under any circumstances. People tend to assume any action that negatively affects them was done primarily and purposely to negatively affect them. As I like to say, no one thinks or cares about you. They did something to benefit them, not to hurt you. Edit. Since this comment was apparently quite popular, you also have to entertain the possibility that people who did something that hurt you didn't realize what they were doing would affect you in any way at all. This also raises the question, how many times did you do something that negatively affected someone and not noticed? It helps you take a step back and not take things so personally, which helps your sanity and in turn affects how you treat others. No one benefits from anger or hatred. Hanlon's razor. Never attribute to malice that which is adequately explained by stupidity, though I add laziness at the end as well. Kids sporting events. Your son is 5. Janet. There's no need to start fights with the coach and other moms. I'm sorry, I thought this was America. Can it? Janet. The opinions of some intangible person on the internet. If you touch me, I become a tangible person. Poke themselves. I seriously think the easiest change one can make to be more happy is to not take yourself all that seriously. I came here to say this. I think you've put it very succinctly. My view is that we only have one life, and it can be mercilessly short, so you really have a choice. Spend your limited time on this planet being angry and offended most of the time, or you can choose just to shrug everything off and look for the best in everything. Which do you honestly think will make you happier? It sounds naive, like one of those cliched inspirational Facebook posts. But really it's true. Try not to get upset by things you can't directly control and have the ability to laugh in the face of adversity. I think it is healthy to treat your mental space with a good spring cleaning now and again. Some things do matter. Decide what those are and hold on to them. Everything else can be let go. And if you can do that, I think you start to see more of the comedy and less of the tragedy in this world. Other people's food preferences. I personally couldn't care less if someone's vegan, or likes pineapple pizza, or whatever. You do you. It's funny because most Indians are vegetarian vegan, yet they don't make a big deal about it. Most of them work in non-vegan places, and have to deal with meat. They just do it. Edit. Removed word edit 2. My husband is Indian and eats meat. Is Catholic. I know there are differences. I've gone to Bombay recently too. It was an example I made. Yep, my Caucasian friend married an Indian man. She eats meat. Fish is as far as he'll go. The only time he'll ever have an issue is when she asks for a kiss after eating beef. Haha. Social media. I accept a level of irony that I am calling out social media while on a social media platform. But too many people lose their minds in the cyber world and forget the real world is so much better. Just because I have been on Reddit for 6 years doesn't mean I don't have a life. It just means I'm shy and don't know how to talk to the opposite sex. Don't know how to talk to the opposite sex, that's not much of a problem if you're gay. Semicolon. Responses on Reddit, or internet fights in general. I've seen so many long thread fights, and really mean vicious ones too. So what if the guy likes pineapple on his pizza? It's not like he's the Lost Prophets frontman or something. Edit. I grammar bad. So what if the guy likes pineapple on his pizza? It's not like he's not the Lost Prophets frontman or something. Oof. The arguments these people get into about how to wipe your ass are truly insane. I read this a few years ago on Reddit, and it stuck with me, so I'll share it here. Credit to you so much coffee for initially writing it. The shitty truth is that the upper, say, 5% of every fanbase is ducking insufferable, basically without variance. There's a ducking guy out there that has like broccoli t-shirts, broccoli posters. He has a ducking broccoli keychain. And if you're like, dude, I love broccoli too, he'd say you had no idea what you were talking about. You like broccolini? What about broccoli rabe? I bet you've never even seen Chinese broccoli. I eat broccoli with every meal. I can make it 213 different ways. I have a ducking broccoli garden in my backyard. That's the upper 5% of every ducking interest group. I have no idea why people do this, or how they've convinced themselves this suffices for an identity, but that seems to be the idea. So, virtually everything has people out there that take it too seriously. Your memory is impressive. I bet he has a you/so much coffee t-shirt and posters and a ducking keychain. High school prom. People make way too big a deal out of it than they should, and I blame TV and movies. It's a single night of your life. A single, usually underwhelming, high school dance. There were countless other comparatively mundane nights in college that were way more fun or memorable than prom ever was. Yet now we have proposals. You are asking the person to go with you to a dance, not spend the rest of their life with you. 5 years later, you most likely won't give a shit about what happened at prom, and probably won't even talk to the person you went with. My high school advisory teacher sat me down and asked me why I wasn't taking my GF to prom in senior year. He's asking if it's a financial thing, if it's a transportation thing, yada yada. I said prom is stupid, more politely than that, but I have no ducking regrets. Tickets were like $150 too. Duck that noise. That's fine. I totally agree. Skipped mine. Haven't regretted it in 40 years. But I think it's nice that your advisor took you aside and offered help if you had wanted to go but couldn't swing it on your own. I hope you and your GF have fun doing whatever else you do instead. One thing that shocks me is the ferocity from people in their late 20s, early 30s of how much they hate stuff that is blatantly aimed at kids. Not them. I see all the time how people my age are amazed and shocked that Nickelodeon isn't showing the same cartoons from the mid-90s or that video games today suck. For some kid, Minecraft means as much to them as Super Mario did to you. So just relax. Your childhood games aren't going anywhere. I am older than you and people my age do it too. I have news for you, Karen. She-Ra and Care Bears were not actually cinematic masterpieces. You like them because you were a child and they were on, which is the same for kids today and whatever they are watching. Let them have their ridiculous shows and music. There is a surplus of trash and a handful of great shows in every generation. We just remember things the way we want to remember them, and see what we want to see. We had some good shows in the 90s. My cousins got some good shows in the zeros. My nephews got some good shows in the 10s. All of us had to sit through some amount of garbage, regardless of DVR access. British royalty. Britons don't give a duck. The news media just sees it as a cheap way to score a few views, so they shove it down everyone's throats. I get a buzz from my phone every 5 minutes from the BBC app telling me some dull detail about the royal wedding. Meghan's dad can't walk her down the aisle like I care. Not my wedding. As the biggest Star Wars nerd I know, Star Wars. Sure, the new movies are controversial and Disney is going to milk the franchise raw like a middle school boy discovering his body for the first time. But that doesn't remove the EU lore that we know and love. It's just more content that you can choose to ignore or enjoy. Nobody hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans. Star Wars fandom rules. Rule number 1. You must love at least one Star Wars movie or trilogy. Piece of canon EU enough that you may as well make it into a form of deity and sacrifice your firstborn to it. Rule number 2. Duck all the other movies trilogies for insert bullshit pedantic nitpicky reason here. Edit. Conforming to pedantry. Everything. Seriously people, loosen up. I am afraid of losing friends who now always talk about politics or sensitive topics where we disagree. I think they are wonderful people, but I don't appreciate being yelled at over petty issues. Edit. I'm not saying that the topics are petty. I'm saying that some of the arguments are petty. I agree. My girlfriend and I strongly disagree on numerous political issues. Not a big deal for us though. Oh. Some random stranger online that I'll most likely never meet or encounter again doesn't like something that I like. He has an opinion that clashes with one of mine. What's that? You say just ignore and move on. Or block the user and move on if I really don't want to see their posts. Duck that. Let's demonize the heretic. Call them every name in the book and act like they killed my puppy. They didn't agree with me. Oh. Yep, the internet equivalent of, I'm telling mom. Music. You don't have to know the band's member history and their birthdays and medical history to be a fan. That's creepy. Who's to say who is a real fan or a poser? You don't have to like every song. If you like their music, cool. If you only like a few songs, cool. If you only use the chorus of their most popular song as a ringtone, cool. And if you know the band and their members inside and out, creepy but cool. Gatekeeping is some real bullshit. Wedding ceremonies and all events related to the wedding. Not necessarily the act of marrying someone, but the planning and sanity that leads up to one. Fairy tale day. That must be perfect at all costs. Dress shopping. Bachelor/bachelorette parties. Bridal showers. Bazaars. Cake flavors. Catering options. Narrowing down guest lists. Making a gift registry. Finding entertainment. Securing banquet rentals. Choosing the bridesmaids, the maid of honor, the best man and groomsmen, ceremony location scouting, reception location scouting, hiring a photographer, sending save the dates, sending invitations, taking engagement photos, etc. All for a 50/50 chance you'll end up doing it all over again. Mazel tov. Weddings are weird emotionally charged events. If you're having a big wedding, it can kind of take on a life of its own. It's also not like you get engaged and immediately start crying about what shade of blue the place cards are going to be. It sneaks up on you. My husband and I wanted to do a tiny immediate family only wedding, but my family was desperate to have the whole big thing. So we said okay. It blew my mind how passionate everyone got about different aspects of the wedding, and they all freaked out about different things. My mom was freaking out about what bobby pins I would wear in my hair. My aunt was flipping out because I didn't want a garter toss. My mill was freaking out that she needed to rent a fancy car to get to the ceremony. And everyone is so emotionally invested in all of it. I can't just say hey garter tosses are weird because, to my aunt, it's not about the garter. Shopping for a garter represents a bonding experience that she and I are supposed to have together, and do I not love her? Is that why I don't want a garter toss? You end up trying to make a lot of people happy because they're all so excited and invested. And it's really touching how everyone gets so involved. But then you find yourself having an argument about bobby pins in the third beauty supply shop you visited that day, and you end up asking yourself what the duck you're doing with your life. TL. Doctor, weddings are weird. Get married by Elvis or the courthouse. Oh my god, this. I'm not entirely happy about my marriage situation at all. Number 1. I wanted to get engaged. It was my idea. What I didn't want was my mother pushing me into asking at a goddamn Chili's. I wanted to ask at the Wishing Well in Disneyland. Number 2. I want as small of a wedding as possible. Immediate family only. No aunts, uncles, fourth cousins, friends. None of that bullshit. Parents and siblings alone is already almost 20 people. But my fiance comes from a Mormon family, so I apparently get no say in the wedding. My fiance is on my side. No worries. It is going to be in a temple, which means I need to convert and be baptized. The whole family will be present. Upwards of 200 people. These nut jobs breed like rabbits. etc etc. Duck family. This is why I haven't even spoken to my fiance about setting a date. Not until her family can chill the duck out and realize a wedding is about my fiance and I, and has nothing to do with them or what they want. If I had it my way, we'd elope in Vegas. Throw a party afterwards. People can do whatever the duck they want for the party. Edit for clarification. There's not a cold chance in hell I'm converting. This is just what her mother says will happen. Her mother has never been more wrong in her life. Gender and sexuality. Just don't hurt people and don't mess with kids. Open bracket. And of course animals and other helpless and harmless living things. Past that, IDC who or what you identify with. And it makes no difference. Just be you and let others be who they are. Add animals to the list. Don't mess with kids or animals. Don't hurt anyone. And I'll be completely okay with you. It's not a big deal though. Be you for yourself, not to show off. Yep, the amount of sheer hatred trans people face is completely incomprehensible. I just can't understand why so many people hate them to the point of wishing they were dead for simply existing. I mean, it's not like they're hurting anyone in any way. Fake internet points. The only repost I have a problem with is people that claim to have experienced something that they haven't, or steal art content that people actually have spent time on. People on this website get vicious about reposts. I'll never understand it. Pop culture things in general. I say this as someone who is pondering getting an Avengers tattoo. People let their fandoms become too much of their identity, to the point where subjective opinion becomes an insult to them as a person. Edit. Fine, I'm getting the damn tattoo next paycheck. My Lord of the Rings tattoo thinks you should quit pondering and just get the tattoo. My Lord of the Rings tattoo says get even more. You know you want Sting somewhere on your body. Ducking astrology. No, Mars being in retrograde does not do anything. And yes, they have disproved this by studying twins. The cool thing about horoscopes is if you don't like what yours says that day, you can find another one somewhere else that you agree with. The type of phone other people have. You still have an iPhone 4S? What the FK is wrong with you? Get this comment regularly. Reddit comments. Duck you, you're wrong. The Kardashians and all their associated minor succubus. Succubi? I feel like it's people who hate the Kardashians who are the ones who take it way too seriously. I mean, why do you even hate them? Because they're moderately famous? My wife watches the show and the amount of people who have lost their shit and gotten in her face about it is absurd. The irony is literally no one I know who watches it takes it especially seriously. They all say more or less the exact same thing. It's just mindless entertainment to relax to after a long day. Life. We're all gonna die eventually, so have some fun and quit stressing. Everything will suck. Then everything will be awesome. Rinse. Repeat. Grave. 100 years nobody will remember you. Putting pineapple on pizza, preferring not to. Stop telling other people what to like. I am honestly so tired of seeing this debate. Who ducking cares what people put on their pizza? That is the entire point of there being toppings. For people to use the ones they want. I always assumed the argument was ironic. Monopoly. It's a board game. Chill out. Sure, you find out that your friends are dongs. But be honest, you knew that deep down anyway. Don't you like to economically murder your sister, enslave your nephew and annihilate your mother-in-law while laughing manically? Marvel vs DC films. It's more likely Disney vs Warner Brothers. And even then, it's not really a competition. Some people treat this like all-out war. You enjoyed Batman v Superman? You're a DC fanboy scum. Sucking on Zack Snyder's dong. Oh, you thought Iron Man 2 was a good movie? You Marvel shill. I hope you get in a car crash. The only people who claim this as a war are the fans themselves. If anything, Disney Marvel need WBDC to do well. Competition creates progress. Conformity breeds stagnation. Hell, the Russo brothers admitted they only went with Captain America: Civil War because DC was doing Batman v Superman. That film introduced Black Panther to the mainstream audience, which helped push for its solo film. Can you imagine if that film hadn't come out? Cursing. They're words that we simply agree on meanings to, but for some reason we feel compelled to keep teaching that you should basically choose to be offended by curse words instead of just treating them like any other normal word. You shouldn't care if I yell out duck in pain when it's not at all directed at you. If we taught children to not be offended by them, lo and behold they'd no longer be offensive. Athletes singing the national anthem. It's not that big of a deal if they don't. Themselves. Nobody cares if you're driving a nice car or live in a nice house. If you're living beyond your means to impress people you don't know, you're going to be in for a world of hurt at some point. Also, nobody cares when you duck up either, so do what you want. Social media. People get so freaking angry over things that have no material impact on their lives. Celebrity award shows. Most do not care what you wore on the red carpet or who you showed up with. Also, your movie really sucked but you knew a guy who voted for your best picture. Religion. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.